welcome to Standard Intelligence, your resource for competitive constructed magic in the UK. This is episode 59 for the week beginning the 17th of December 2018. I'm Dr. Jack Patton.
And I'm Simeon Beaver. This episode is brought to you in part thanks to our supporters on our Patreon. Many thanks to those of you who have made a contribution. It is immensely appreciated by both of us. Anyone who is our supporter on Patreon by the 8th of January will be eligible for the January draw. If you'd like to be in it or would like to learn more about how to support us, please head over to patreon.com/SIcast. With that, let's get right into the news for this week. So the first bit of news we have is the World Magic Cup happened this weekend. Congratulations to everyone taking part, and special congratulations to the winners, who were France. They beat Israel in the final. The French decks were pretty standard Golgari, Jeskai Control and Selesnya tokens. So we haven't found that there's a great deal of innovation for us to discuss there, apart from noting that those are three of the best decks in standard. Strange. Semi-finals were Hong Kong and Italy. Quarterfinals were Japan, China, Slovakia and Australia. Unfortunately, none of the home nations put up a showing, which is disappointing, but well done to all of them anyway.
I believe both of the Irish teams, I thought it made it today too.
Oh, okay, I didn't see that. Apologies to the Irish teams, well done.
Yes, I believe so.
So did Scotland miss out on day 2 for the first time ever?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, and on the last
wrong,
one,
but I think so.
Oh, sad.
Yeah, yes. The other piece of news, or another piece of news to come out of Magic this week, Arena got its ranked update, and a lot of outcry was had.
Yes, I guess we should have a little discussion about that, Craig, because I know you are very much of the opinion that you would think it really should be best of 3.
Best of 1 is not how Magic is played. Best of 3 is important to show how Magic is different, in my opinion. It's sideboard, so for those of you who don't know, ranked, constructed, and indeed I believe ranked limited, although I haven't actually
ranked limited as well.
Ranked limited as well, cool. Are played as best of 1s, including the Arena Mulligan system, whereby the first hand is actually calculated by taking 2 random 7s from the deck and tending towards the hand with the more normal distribution of lands and spells. This doesn't remove... So my reasoning for best of 3s is that does not remove all of the variants, and I would rather have game 2 and game 3 to come back from an opening hand where I have to mulligan to 5. Sideboarding is an integral part of the way Magic works. It is what sets Magic apart from basically every one of its competitors. I know of no other game that has this sort of effect in between 2 games.
Can I therefore play devil's advocate?
Yes, go for it.
That is why ranked is best of 1.
Okay.
Because those people coming to Magic from other games, which is the vast majority of the people they're wanting to attract.
Yep.
Learning sideboarding is not a skill taught by Arena's teaching system that it has, but when you start off, and it is such a massive skill that I can see exactly why they've got rid of it. Also, they want to get in as many matches as possible, bearing in mind it is still a beta, as many ranked matches as possible to see how the ranking system works.
Yes.
They want you to play 200, 300, 400 games and see where people who have played that number of games end up. And if it was best of 3, you cut the number of games in half, or even more than half.
So
yes, currently Magic is a game of 3, and we have this sideboarding skill. It is possible to go, that skill doesn't need to be in every version of Magic. It's not in Commander, for instance.
Yes.
And you've just got to build your decks differently than you have to for best of 3.
That is a perfectly reasonable way of thinking about it. My problem comes in that, in actually the third point that I tend to fall back on. Best of 1, due to things like its variance and its occasional shortness, is not interesting for viewing. Every other tournament system from like Hearthstone and that will introduce a system whereby you end up with more games in a match than you would normally on their ranked leaderboards. They are forced to introduce that at tournaments to have something where people can actually watch it and get more out of the game than, oh, well, that was over in 5 minutes because one player drew better than the other in a very obvious manner, and there was no chance for being outplayed because X player just didn't draw the right things.
Okay, take that point. What if it was a 20-round tournament?
How would it be a 20-round tournament?
So instead of an 8-round tournament, say, you play everyone twice.
Okay, then why are you not allowing me to sideboard in between
Because
games?
if you go, I want each game to be with this one deck that's been built, so I don't have to discuss sideboarding tactics and all of that. I know it's a skill, and I'm not...
Yes.
No, I'm in no way...
So you're just saying, just remove the skill. Just remove the sideboarding skill and still have 2 games, one where one player's on the play and one where the other player's on the play.
You could do that, and then you've evened up... Yeah, the play-draw thing then is not...
Yes, but then you need to go back to best of 3, because otherwise...
No, because you could draw...
Oh, no, you don't. You just take it as a 1-1.
You go with 1-1, yeah.
I
Works,
see where you're coming from. It does work. It absolutely works. I just don't see why you're contriving this method when we have a perfectly good one, and your only advantage is we remove some level of skill from the game.
You also remove 15 cards that you need to purchase for the deck.
This is true, but so my opinion is that tournaments, high level tournaments, will be held in best of 3 formats.
I suspect you are right.
At that point, with ranked looking to be how people are going to qualify for things like the Mythic Championships, why are we not telling people, if you want to get there, you're going to need to have this skill, and if you need to have this skill, you might as well start learning it while everyone else is still learning it.
I think because this is a pre-season, we can't guarantee this is what they want to be for the real thing.
So the way...
And I could also see that from gold onwards, it's best of 3.
See, that I don't think works. I still don't think that works, because you're saying, okay, so you've gotten to this level and you can never go back down, like until next season you can't shift back down, but the rules have now changed. So this thing that you were playing as best of 1, you now can't play it unless you have another 15 card.
But Magic doesn't have a problem with having different rules for different... Yeah, Magic is a game with a lot of different sets of rules.
Yes, I just wonder why on earth you would say, oh, well, we'll have best of 1 through bronze and silver, and then as soon as you get to gold or platinum or mythic, I've heard all 3 given as the time you change it over to best of 3. Why are you then changing the rules?
Because you've had some time to build your deck up. To
build your deck up in the play area of Arena. Play the Arena just random games.
You see, I think the random games is for people who are... I'm not sure. Obviously, we I don't have as much of a problem with best of 1 as you do. I would love it, actually, if it was a best of 2, one of you on the play each time, and you draw 1-1.
Yeah, I mean,
and no sideboarding.
And then you just don't move. Like no one loses a rank or gains a rank sort of thing.
No, I'm talking about a tournament. So where you score points.
Yeah, but you're still going to have to find a way of finishing the top 8, or.
And then if you could, if you're at 1-1, have a. You could either keep playing until someone leads by 2,
yeah,
or until someone wins on the draw, whichever way you wanted to put it, or you can have a die roll for who gets to play the third game, or it's whoever was highest on the rankings going in. If it's a top 8 only issue, it's whoever is highest on the rankings goes to, and then you really do encourage no drawing to get to top 8.
Yeah. So
the more I think about that system, the more I actually really like it.
I don't deny that the idea of the system works. My problem is the getting rid of sideboarding. You're losing so much of what makes Magic magic.
You're not.
You really are. Like at that point, why would I not just play Hearthstone? Why would I not just play Hex?
Because Magic is a game of far greater depth.
It is if you can sideboard, but if you can't sideboard, then everyone plays these linear decks that get hosed by sideboard cards.
The issue isn't currently with the fact they play linear decks. It's that if you have something like the Approach deck
or the Rally deck
that win 80% of game ones, everyone will be on that deck, and that's the problem. You do limit.
Yeah.
You limit some of the types of cards you can make, and that's the more likely reason why they're going to end up at best of 3.
Yes. So if we have a look at the announcement of this, however, and the way that they've defended it, the announcement suggests that It's not 100% on this being a forever thing. As you say, Simeon, they may simply be trying to get as many games in as possible. That is a perfectly reasonable thing to say. If you're testing your rating system, you need to have people changing their ratings as quickly as possible to make sure that your calculations are all working out. I totally get that.
Yeah.
From a purely mathematical system understanding standpoint, it does make a lot of sense. The problem becomes the fact that they haven't been entirely clear about what they're intending to do with it post. And I still maintain that if you're intending on having any tournaments up anywhere up the line, I'm talking about up to the level where you're getting to Mythic Championships. If you're not intending on changing Mythic Championships to best of ones, then you should be on best of threes all the way down. Because otherwise, people are going to go, oh, this Mythic Championship we've seen, it looks really fun. Let's go play on Arena. Oh, I can't actually play the way that they were showing. Like,
you can, because there's always going to be the
but you can't. If you wanna get to the Mythic Championship, you're forced to play ranked. If you're playing ranked and it's best of one, then you're not learning. You're not using what you've learned at the Mythic Championship.
I do not expect there to be the Mythic Championship to be qualified for by the ranked system.
You think it's going to be separate tournaments?
I think there will be a tournament for it, because if it's by the ranked system, volume of games is as important as skill in games.
Yes. No, you're absolutely right.
I don't think you want to do that. And I mean, I know lots of games do, but you can't say to someone, well, you've got to spend 12 hours a day playing this in order to have any chance of making the Mythic Championship.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's actually a fair comment. That is the only, light at the end of the tunnel if Wizards does turn around and go, we've heard you, and we've still decided that we'd rather have ranked be best of one. If you want to qualify for the Mythic Championships, however, those tournaments will be best of three.
Yeah, and that would make sense.
And I do kind of agree with that.
And however they're doing it, they've got to have a way of dealing with draws.
Yeah.
Because there's no chess clock.
No.
And there never will be a chess clock. You just can't with the way it works. And so therefore there has to be a method of dealing with a 1-1.
Yeah. And then the way that they've defended deciding to put ranked up as a best of one at the moment isn't the defense isn't even that we want to play a lot of games and we want to test our system. That's what we're saying. That's what we have logically decided is a pretty good reason to have it be best of one. What Wizards are saying is that they're giving the people what they want because 97% of games played. So
I think they mean matches.
Yes. Matches played are best of one.
Yeah, but then best of three matches take 2 or 3 times longer than best of one matches.
Exactly, and best of one is clearly the way Wizards have built Arena to be played by most people.
Yeah, it's clearly the way you're meant to play when you start out, which makes sense because you don't need to have 75 cards, you only need 60.
Yep.
And the decks they give out,
they
do give a lot of cards out at the start, which is great. Mm-hmm. I love that aspect of it. They are only 60 card decks. Yep. And sideboarding is an additional skill. Learning how to sideboard. I mean, I still don't know how to sideboard particularly well, and I've been playing for 6 years.
Yes.
And it's one of the things I'm definitely weakest at.
Yeah, and there's also the fact that the best of 3 games are hidden behind a switch.
Yep, that people don't know about.
People just don't even really think about. It's just, I'm playing Arena. Well, I was given a 60 card deck. I will play with a 60 card deck. I don't really need to worry about what this toggle does.
I mean, considering, the number of people who you see on a random stream going, what is this game you're playing?
Yeah.
So, and then they go, well, they can play it on Arena, so they'll start Arena. Obviously, they're not going to know that little toggle that doesn't even say what it does.
Yeah.
It doesn't even look like a toggle until you go and click it.
Yep.
So clearly, the majority of games, for all those reasons, are going to be played as best of one.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that... And I don't mind ranked being best of one because you get to move quickly.
Yeah.
I would mind if it was qualifying for Mythic Championships through best of one. And I can't see that being the case.
Okay, fair enough. I think we were coming at it from different angles. I was under the impression that ranked would have some bearing on qualification for Mythic Championship. If it does not, fine, carry on.
I mean, it might be the winner of the thing gets an automatic qualification. Even the top 4 get automatic qualification.
Yeah.
But I hope it's not just the top. I mean, I know they've said if you're once you get to Mythic, the top 1,000 are given a rank.
Yes.
Or if there's more than 1,000, you're given a percentile place. I don't know if that's the top 1,000 will always have a rank and everyone below that gets a percentile, or if...
It looked like that from the announcement, yes.
But, I can't get past gold. So, going to be a while before we get anywhere near Mythic.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're struggling at gold as well, aren't you, Jack?
Yes, I've bounced around gold 4 quite a lot.
Yeah, I've gone all the way into 2 or 3 steps up gold 3, and now I'm back at the beginning of gold 4 again.
Yep. It's painful, isn't it?
It's very painful. Today was horrific. I played 16 games and won 4.
Jeez.
It was awful.
Yeah, and again, you're not. You're a 50% Magic player most of the time. You shouldn't be having those sorts of days. But a single match, a single game, has so much variance involved that normally gets evened out over 3 games.
Magic is a game of variance anyway.
Absolutely, and it should remain so. I
don't know if there is necessarily more variance in a game of 1 than in games of 3, apart from the fact that I don't know.
I think the variance is more impactful when it's a game of 1. That's my point.
There are plenty of games of 3 I've lost because I've drawn badly in both games.
Yes, but you were very unlikely to draw badly both times. You're less likely to draw badly both times.
But equally, if I draw badly in 1 and then we're 50-50, I'm still likely to lose, if you see what I mean. In a best of 3. If it doesn't feel as bad, I'll grant you that, because you lose 2-1.
Yeah.
But how many of those 2-1s have you lost because in one of the 3 games you drew appallingly?
I mean, a fair number, yeah. But the other game I was still fighting.
Yeah, but I'm trying to say that I'm not sure that the actual variance is that different, but the feel of the variance is.
Yes, and Wizards have already talked about how they want the game to feel good. They've discounted dusting Magic cards because the idea of destroying cards to turn them into other things. So this is clearly about how it feels, and if it feels really bad...
I feel quite good playing Arena even when I'm losing like I did today.
I think the system is great. I am in no way disparaging Arena. I am all in on Arena. I've done what you did, Simeon. I've sold out of online.
Yep.
I'm not intending on.
I sold out of online. I spent I bought the $100 package for however many packs that was, the $5 starter set, and I have built 5 decks. And I know obviously I'd played 80% of my daily play things probably in the 6 months, 3 months, however long on earth it was running before.
Since the last wipe,
Since the last wipe. It isn't actually that long.
No, and that's the other
it's actually
point
only
about...
since this set, isn't it? It's only this set, so it's 2
exactly.
months.
And that's the other point about best of ones, as you were pointing out. While people are building up decent decks, they're going to want to play best of ones. And it's like, and you wiped everyone's collections 2 months ago, so no one's got, unless they've bought in or they're really time invested, because what they definitely aren't saying is 97% of players play best of
because
ones.
In fact that was said at one point apparently on the stream
and was corrected.
So it's 97% of games, and I played most of my games best of 1.
Yeah, I do now because ranked is best of 1. They're rather reinforcing it.
I did beforehand.
Oh, okay. I always like the competitive events.
I played the 7 events, the win 7 or lose 3, and they're best of 1s. That was what I spent most of my time doing, because I thought it was too inexpensive a commitment to put in 1,000 gold each time. It was only after talking to you about 2-3 weeks ago where you went, it's only 2 wins and you get your money back.
Yeah.
I was like,
I
should have been playing that. And if I'm going to get it wrong and play the best of 1s,
an enfranchised Magic player who knows about expected value and things like this, Yeah.
And I hadn't been putting sideboards together, so therefore I was playing best of 1s.
Yeah, precisely.
Anyway, we've
spent a lot of time on this one, but
it is important. I think it is a really important way that people.
Yeah, and I really want people to make their voices heard about this one. If you really feel that best of 1 is fine, tell people. There was actually a fair few people out on Twitter today going, I think it's okay.
I especially think drafters like it because they get to draft more.
Yeah, well, this is the point. Like in a draft, it means you are doing the act of drafting far more frequently. So I can sort of get that, but I just don't think Magic is a best of one game.
And in Limited, if you change your idea of drafting sideboard cards to, I'll put this sideboard card in my main deck, and you tend to have 2 or 3 maybe sideboard cards, and you put them in your main deck instead, changing draft to best of one isn't that difficult. I don't think necessarily makes that much of a difference.
As long as the set has flexible but narrow answers.
Yes.
Then...
take I don't know, Night
Crushing
of Autumn.
Canopy is my favourite example of it at the moment.
The Crushing Canopy is a great example.
Brilliant main board card for sealed. Some draft decks will still play at main board.
Yes, so
even in best of threes.
So actually, if you think about your draft deck being built like a sealed deck, that might... Anyway, we're carrying on chatting about Arena and we need to move on.
Yes. Simeon, the Magic Pro League, the 32 players in the Magic Pro League have been announced. Do you want to take us through the list?
I shall take us through the alphabetical by first name, how to really get my goat. Yeah, alphabetical by first name list.
Well, it was on ESPN, so sports fans, what can you do? Sports
fans
take
know people by their last names.
Yeah.
And talk about people by their last names. Anyway, so the top 32 are Alexander Hayne of Canada, Andrea Mengucci of Italy, Andrew Cuneo of the United States, Ben Stark of the United States, Brad Nelson of the United States, Brian Brown-Doon, United States, and I've said his name wrong and that's really annoying for me, Carlos Ramau, Brazil, Christian Hauck of Germany, Eric Froelich and Jerry Thompson, both of the United States, Grzegorz Kozłowski of Poland, Javier Dominguez of Spain, Jean-Emmanuel Dupraz of France, who was in the French World Cup winning team.
Nice.
John Rolfe, United States, Kenyuka Hiro, Japan, Lishi Chan, Hong Kong, Lucas Esperberto of Brazil, Luis Alvato, the current Player of the Year from Argentina. I should have said current. Javier Dominguez, what did he win?
World champ?
World champion, that's the one I want. Marcio Carvalho of Portugal, Marcin User of the Czech Republic, Matthew Nass, United States, Mike Sigrist, United States, Owen Turtenwald, United States, PVDDR of Brazil, Peter Kogowski of Poland, Ray Sato from Japan, Reed Duke, United States, Seth Manfield, United States, Shahar Shenhar from Israel, Shota Yasuroga from Japan, William Jensen from United States, and Yuya Watanabe from Japan.
And every one of those names is the name of an extremely high-level Magic player from this year, based on pro points alone.
Yes.
None of them are excessively known as streamers or personalities. These are the creme de la creme of best players in the world now.
Am I relieved to see that?
Oh, so relieved.
And how much were we worried that it was going to be some Hearthstone streamers and some people who used to play Magic?
Yeah, there was definitely like, oh, okay, well, we've got Brian Kibler, he's Hall of Fame, and he's a really good streamer. He'd bring the numbers up. We could see him in, even though he hasn't really played that much this year. And, it's Amaz. I love Amaz's streams. If you've ever played Hearthstone, he's really great to watch. But he's not a Magic player. He's been on the Pro Tour a couple of times, but he's not top level like this. But he has a lot of followers, and it's like, oh, that would be really bad. But no, what we've got is... these are people to strive to play as. These are not necessarily people to strive to have the same social media presence or the same Twitch following or viewership or whatever you want to say about... a lot of them, I mean, I'm looking at Brian Brondoin, Jerry T. They've all occasionally tried to stream and just gone, actually, this isn't doing it for me. And like chop on, chop off, kind of a little bit.
Isn't it also though that because they've had to be travelling to tournaments? So if you spend 6 weekends in a row travelling to tournaments, you're not streaming over that 6 weeks because you go to the tournament, you come home, you get ready for the next tournament, you go to that tournament. Especially if they're travelling like worldwide, as some of them are.
Yeah,
so it's not surprising that they don't stream regularly.
No, exactly. It must be very hard to get into. But the fact that I think most of these will now spend their free time in massive inverted commas, obviously, but free time streaming.
Well, now you've been paying enough to not have to have another job.
Yes, exactly. Where if you can get the streaming off the ground, you know that even if you don't make it back into the MPL next year, you've got a good base to be sitting on to go, you know what? I think I'll still be okay until I can try and get back into the MPL
Yeah,
the year after.
and I can stream and fight my way. Do you think that there is the space for that number of successful streamers? I mean, I don't watch League of Legends or Hearthstone or any of the other things, so I don't really know how many big streamers those games have.
Short answer, yes.
Cool. Thanks for the short answer.
Long answer, if we want to really dive into it. So when League of Legends first started, so now think about this was 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
There were, and now don't get me wrong, these were students, a lot of them, they were teenagers, and many of them were in privileged positions where they didn't have any dependents. Their parents paid for a certain amount of whatever they lived on. But basically, every player, and this is before the creation of Riot, like taking up the player contracts and paying the players themselves, these players were able to basically earn their living off of a stream before Twitch got very good at that.
Yeah, I'm sort of asking, is there the viewership base?
So
are there enough viewers to watch, say, 30 concurrent streams at a high enough level?
So it's a little bit tricky to say, because obviously, so I've started streaming. I've considered this, and I think I'm going to continue streaming just because I enjoy it more than anything else. But for these guys, this might very well be their jobs. So for them, what you've got to consider is that I think peak Magic viewership hits around 22 to 25k at the weekends. And that is often for the big tournaments.
Yeah.
Which means that there's about 25,000 people who want to watch Magic on a semi-regular basis. And if we make it easier for them to watch, now the reason, we're watching tournaments and that is because theoretically the commentary makes it easier for us to understand what's going on if we're not hyper into Magic, and MTGO isn't great for newer players who don't know what the cards are, because you can't read them on stream. If you know what they are, you're fine. If you don't know what they are, you're hooped. Whereas commentary is meant to, help you ease into that. So if Arena can have a similar effect, making it easier for people to watch streams of Magic, we could be seeing those numbers in the midweek period. And at that point, you're not conflicting with any Mythic Challenge championships that are going on, any Super League style streams that are happening in the week when these players are battling against each other in their weekly tournaments or whatever.
Yeah, because I expect those events to happen on weekdays and not weekends. Exactly,
and I think that would be actually kind of helpful to everyone, because as soon as it starts really picking up. What's the saying? A rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah.
As soon as you start getting more people involved in, there's this, this stream on of, as you were saying, it's Monday night, we've got these 6 players over these 3 matches, they're going to be playing, but they're not on tomorrow night. But do you want to go and check out their stream? Because they'll be streaming tomorrow night. So if you don't want to watch, the next 6 players, you aren't super interested in their decks, you aren't, as interested in them as players for whatever reason, you can go and watch the stream of those 6 players that just played on their own streams.
I also guess if you get Magic being on the top row of games and on Twitch on a regular basis instead of I often have to search 5 or 6 rows down for it.
Yes, I mean that's definitely the
and then you get
numbers.
Then you get the casual viewer, and it's the casual viewer you're trying to catch, isn't it?
Exactly.
And then hook people, and then have a 50,000 people pool to pick from, and so then 50 streams can each have 1,000 viewers.
Exactly.
I guess that's where they're trying to go to. Yeah, and I'm hoping that's where it goes. That's, fingers crossed, that is where it is going to go. Not every one of these players will be good at commentating and dealing with a chat stream and explaining what they're doing to actually run their own stream.
What I'm actually super looking forward to is all the localized streams getting bigger. So, if Andrea Mengucci can stream in Italian and is the highest level Italian streamer, if Carlos Ramao and PVDDR are streaming from Brazil and they're doing, native, not speaking English. They're doing it in Portuguese, in Spanish, in French, in Japanese. They're doing these streams in their local languages. How much does that help the Magic community grow? Because at the moment, the Pro Tour is, provided in one language. The SCG is provided in one language. Occasionally you'll get restreams where commentators are sort of dubbing what the commentators are saying, but also just doing their own commentary in, X, Y, or Z language that isn't English.
In Japanese, presumably, most of the time.
I think actually a lot of it's been German that I've seen, but I could be wrong.
Right.
It's come up.
I know there are occasionally Japanese streams from Japanese Grand Prix.
Yeah. Yes. No, that definitely happens, and that's the sort of thing we're talking about when you get to the point where there is definitely a player base who wants to watch these streams in their native tongues.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a really important boost to Magic as a whole.
I also hope we get streams at decent times for the UK.
Yes. Yep. Not going to lie.
And you're not asking the Polish players to always be up at stupid o'clock in the morning to play an American time. But maybe they've gone, well, okay. I mean, it's like doing shift work. That's my hours of work. Fine. Whatever.
As you were saying last week about if Arena puts on tournaments, don't expect them to necessarily be region timed.
Do not.
Don't expect, because I think people will expect, if they are midweek streams of whatever, weekly matches these MPL players are going to have to play, expect them to be evening US time, which basically makes it about midnight over here.
As
you say,
time.
in Poland, makes it about 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk about Ravnica spoilers.
Yes.
Do you think we've really chatted a bit too long and we need to move on?
No.
Or should we look at these Ravnica
Let's have a look at these spoilers. There's only a few that I really want to actually talk about.
Cool. Let's go.
Okay, so Ravnica preview season has also started. We've only got a few, but I think the idea is that we will have all of them basically pre-Christmas.
No, I think they said we'd get some stuff before Christmas, but official spoiler season starts 1st of January.
Alright, fair enough. We've seen now 2 new mechanics. We've seen Spectacle, which is like Bloodthirst, but for spells sometimes. It's interesting. Spectacle is an alternate casting cost for casting the spell. You can still only cast it at the times indicated, so if it's a creature, it's only sorcery speed. If it's a sorcery, it's only sorcery speed, etc. They have an alternate casting cost. This can be either more or less than.
That's the weird bit. It can be more than, it can be less than.
Yeah. And normally, if it's more than, obviously it'll have an extra effect. But Spectacle is, you may cast this spell for its spectacle cost rather than its mana cost if an opponent lost life this turn. So any method of losing life, there you go. That's the Spectacle cost activated, as it were. So if there are instants and your opponent takes pain off their ETB shock lands,
that would be good.
You can Spectacle out an instant at that point. If you attack and combat damage someone, you can Spectacle out your creatures second main. This seems perfectly sensible to me. The one that I'm sort of looking at as being probably playable. Well, there's actually 2 here. There's a Light Up the Stage, which is 2 and a red for a sorcery that says exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards. So you've got this turn and next turn to cast to play them. They can be lands. And
that's why you can play them, but you do need to pay their mana cost.
You do need to pay their mana cost, but you can Spectacle it out for a single red. So if you manage to, say, point a shock at your opponent, you can then go, red, I'll exile the top 2 cards and play them.
And basically have 2 extra cards in my hand for the next turn.
Exactly. And then the other one is the Rixmadi Reveler, which is a 2/2 for 1 and a red. It is a human shaman, so no creature subtypes there that are relevant in standard, but might be relevant in modern. And it has Spectacle for 2 black red, so changing even its colour requirements there. When Rixmadi Reveler enters the battlefield, discard a card, then draw a card. We believe that if you do not have a card in hand, you still get to draw a card.
We think. We'll check when the rules come out.
When the notes are released, yes. But if Rixmadi Reveler's Spectacle cost was paid, instead discard your whole hand. Again, this time I'm absolutely certain if you have no hand, you don't have to discard anything.
You have discarded your hand for 0.
Then draw 3 cards.
Yeah, and we know how good that is, drawing 3 cards.
Bedlam Reveler was a sleeper in Standard, and has now started to see quite a lot of modern play. So maybe something like Rixmadi Reveler might see some play in a black-red aggro deck.
Or, maybe a Punisher burn deck. Who knows?
Oh, yeah. No, I'd be well up for that.
I like the fact that So, Rakdos is a circus guild, clearly. Looking at the other Rakdos card as well that has been spoiled. And they had, in the Great Designer Search, one of the questions was about designing cards for a circus.
Yes! Yeah.
Yeah. Wonder why they did that.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, actually, because I think they've sort of been noted as being, as you say, a circus of creatures and of spell slingers previously in, I think, Return to Ravnica, started to pick up on this motif. And then this time it seems to be really driving home the idea that actually that's all they really want to do. Well, it's just about having fun and
we've seen
showing off.
There are 4 cards spoiled in total for Rakdos, and they are all clearly, the pictures clearly are people in a circus, or creatures in a circus, or events happening in a circus.
Yeah. So, interesting. The other keyword ability that we've got is Afterlife. We've actually just had this spoiled this evening. We've got Tithe Taker, which is 1 and a white for a 2/1 human soldier. Again, no relevant creature types there for standard, but modern.
None yet. Anyway, soldier could be. There have been enough soldiers.
There have been. This is very true. During your turn, spells your opponents cast cost 1 more to cast, and abilities your opponents activate cost 1 more to activate unless they're mana abilities. So a good way of trying to lock down your opponents on your turn. Good against, obviously, control players, etc., etc. And then it also has this other line of text which says, Afterlife 1. When this creature dies, create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying. So this is the Orzhov Syndicate's signature mechanic for this set. And it's to create extra creatures, which seems really good if there are any aristocrat-style decks in this format.
Yeah, so does look like it's going to be an aristocrat guild.
And as you pointed out, Simeon, there's a number after that Afterlife.
Yes, we're not sure yet if it's then. So if Afterlife 2 will be create 2 1/1s, or if it's a create a 2/2 white spirit.
Yeah.
I imagine creating a 2/2 would make things confusing. You'd have to have the right tokens to make that work, unless the 2/2 was a different creature type.
Yes. Yeah, so don't know.
If the 2/2 becomes a soldier and a 3/3 becomes a... what's another white back?
It's Afterlife. It's got to be more spirits.
Oh, yeah.
So I personally think we're just going to get multiple 1/1s.
Could be a beast spirit and a... I don't know.
Nah. I know why you're trying this mental gymnastics, because it feels weird if a single creature card dies into multiple creatures.
Oh, no. You've got things like...
I was thinking of Unruly Mob as a good example.
Yeah,
a creature card that represents many creatures.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You've got the Conclave Cavalier that splits into 2.
Yeah. One front half of the horse.
Yes, exactly.
Half of the horse.
So you could also have a card where spirits are released even if they're not from that particular creature for some reason.
Yes. Yeah.
The thing I've liked the look of is Simic.
Oh, okay. Go on.
Because Simic looks like a ramp deck.
Are you saying that because of Growth Spiral by any chance?
Well, there's Growth Spirals. That's it's an instant for green-blue. Draw a card. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Oh, yes, please. Thank you very much. And then also Simic Ascendancy.
Yes.
Just one green... it's a green and blue for an enchantment. 1 green-blue, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on the creature you control, put that many growth counters on Simic Ascendancy. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Simic Ascendancy has 20 or more growth counters on it, you win the game.
You know what's still in the format, Simeon?
Yes.
Hadana's Climb.
Yes. The only problem, of course, is this an enchantment, and enchantments
are historically
very
not
vulnerable.
Great. Yeah. I don't think they're super vulnerable. I just think that they're often not fantastic.
But if you think about the enchantments that are currently around that people have answers for because they need them anyway. So Search for Escanta, Experimental Frenzy, they're the main ones.
Ixalan's
Binding and the other exile spells.
Yeah.
People are playing with answers to enchantments. unless they're mono red, and then this is coming in out the sideboard against mono red. Yay! And then then you don't have time to put 20 +1/+1 counters on anyway.
Then it never does anything because your opponent's tried to kill you.
Obviously, it is a bit of if you've put 20 +1/+1 counters on your creatures.
How have you not already won the game?
How have you not won the game?
Yeah.
But still, I like the look of it, and I think it will be a ramp while making some things bigger deck.
Yeah, fair enough. I think it could be an interesting get for Merfolk decks. They've started looking a lot better on Arena recently, but I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be what we're after here. I think you're probably better off with just pure ramp and just finding something huge to dump your mana into.
You mean like a Gate Colossus?
I was wondering about that. Yeah. This is an 8/8 for a artifact creature. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each gate you control. Gate Colossus can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, so it can't be chumped. And then whenever a gate enters the battlefield under your control, you may put Gate Colossus from your graveyard on top of your library, so it helps recur itself. Which is a little interesting, but...
I imagine it's a limited card. There'll be a limited deck around it, but not a standard one.
No, absolutely. The card that I'm obviously looking at here is Mortify, which is a reprint.
Yeah.
But 1 white, black, instant destroy target creature or enchantment. It's just very good.
Oh, look, there's another answer to the Simic.
There's another answer. And a flexible one that people will be happily playing to kill creatures.
Yes. So 3 mana instant kill spell. That's definitely going in decks. I wonder if that's going to be in our top 10. I suspect it is.
I think it's going to be in mine. Yeah, absolutely. Right then. I think that's all the previews we particularly want to discuss at the moment, Simeon.
Yeah.
Okay then. Well, with that, why don't we... we've got no PPTQ results. We're recording a little bit earlier in the week this week. So no results have come in as of yet. If any do come, we'll update the website.
We'll put them on the website, yeah. And if you're a patron, we'll put them onto the Patreon as well.
Of course. But for now, we will be moving on instead to our deep dive.
So we thought for our deep dive, as it's coming up for Christmas and it's our last episode of this year, we would do a review of the year and how it's gone for Magic and for us. So should we start with reviewing how it's gone for Magic, Chuck?
Yes, that seems like the best place to start.
So we started in a pretty horrific place. We just had energy bans and some red bans, and we were in Rixalan. Rivals of Ixalan, to give it its proper name. And in that season, Mono Red did incredibly well. This was
even having had 2 bans pointed at it.
Yeah, especially the Ravnica Red ban that really looked like it would knock it off, but it didn't. Not with Phoenix and with Bomat Courier and Hazaret particularly.
Hazaret.
Yeah, don't talk about Hazaret in that quite happy tone. But it was definitely the dominant deck of that season. The second place deck was Mardu Vehicles, which used some similar red cards. Mono Red taking almost twice as many points as Mardu Vehicles over that time. Blue Black Control. Do you remember the Blue Black Control with some Scarab Gods?
Yeah, there was a lot of more mid-rangey versions of that came up at the end of the season, and that sort of... People started wanting to play that again, as I think a lot of other people were trying to fight the Red Menace. Mm-hmm. We had Rasa's Contempt, we had Moment of Craving, I believe, by that point. So we had some ways of dealing with Mono Red. It was just not apparently enough.
No, it wasn't enough. Quite clearly wasn't enough. Moment of Craving is in Rix. So yes, we had Moment of Craving. So. Yeah. And then also we had the Godpharaoh's Gift decks.
Yeah, they were still doing some pretty reasonable work at the time, showing up and either doing like a blue-red combo thing or the white-blue self-mill thing, and then obviously we saw a few decks trying to do basically like combining them, doing both. But this was, towards the end of this season was when the deck did its best in the red-blue configuration.
We love that configuration, didn't we?
I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was a really unusual thing to get to do in a standard format and have it not be completely busted but also not entirely unplayable as well. For some reason that whole deck just came together really nicely in that season and looked fine. It didn't look completely broken, but it wouldn't always fall flat on its face either, so... Yeah. It was in a good spot there.
And then we moved on from Rick's with some Dominaria.
This was an interesting season. So we started off, and I think basically the first mocks showed everyone how incredibly busted Teferi was. And everyone went, okay, this is something we're going to have to be really wary of. But also there's still, God Pharaoh's Gift floating about, so that can still kill you on turn 4 if it gets a good draw and that kind of thing. And then that wasn't how the season played out. We got to GP Birmingham, and the format was basically solved. You were playing Chain Whirlers, you were playing Bomat Couriers, and you were playing Chandra and Glorybringers. And that was basically all she wrote.
That really was. It was a completely dominant performance from those decks. So our point scoring thing between Birmingham and PT Dominaria, the black-red aggro deck scored 43 points. The next highest deck scored 10. That is how dominant it was.
Yep.
And then after Proto Dominaria, black-red aggro scored 44 points. And the next highest deck was Mono Red, scoring 15. And after that was blue-black mid-range and blue-white control, both scoring 8. Utterly, it was black-red all the way. And if you weren't playing black-red, you were 100% wrong.
Yeah. I don't care who thought they had a good matchup against Black Red. It wasn't good enough.
No, which did make for a fairly boring standard format, really.
Yeah, a little bit.
But somehow we kept going. We kept talking through, and you look at the Dominaria cards now, and you're like, they all look so strong.
Yeah,
there are so many great Dominaria cards.
Yeah, that set was busted. It was great,
but not busted enough to stop red black.
No. No.
Ridiculously.
Well, the loss of Chandra has eventually slowed it down enough.
Yeah, and the loss of a lot of the small stuff as well. Things like
Bomat Courier, Scrounger.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
The new red cards at that level are not of those power.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Then we moved on to Core 19 season, or M19 season, where obviously it being modern season in PPTQs, we shifted our focus and we started looking at the results from modern PPTQs. And while we could find no structure as the format shifted or changed, what we did find was the most popular decks in the UK, and that seems to be Burn and Tron mostly, with Storm, Jeskai Control and Jund bringing up the next, tier of played decks in the UK, with basically 10 billion varieties of decks that could be played otherwise. I think this will be your sheet with the longest list on it.
I think so. I haven't checked, but pretty much, especially the longest list of very clearly different decks, whereas in mono red and black red they are different decks, but they're not completely different decks from each other when we
and also where you've picked up, you're in standard, sometimes you'll have a deck that shows up in precisely one top 8.
Yeah.
I don't think you had that very much with modern. Decks tended to make it to a fair number of them.
Well, we had 44 different decks made top 8s.
Yeah.
Number of appearances. There were a few one-offs. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, more than I thought.
Yeah, that is more than I thought.
17 of those are one-offs. But then there's a good chunk. 13 decks at 5 or more appearances.
Yeah.
I think that's 5 is definitely a cut-off, and then there's a number of 4s as well.
So that was interesting.
And I'm not sure I'd want to do another season of Modern in quite the same way. I think we'd still look at Standard and then just pop in on Modern and show what the results were. Yeah, use it as our PPTQs to go, has there been a change?
Yeah.
But having that, we now have a basis of what does Modern look like in the UK is good.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's handy, actually, that was an interesting season and also a season where we got to learn a load, because Standard was still doing red-black things for the most part.
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't have another season talking about just red-black.
Yeah, there was very little innovation that went on. There was some.
Well, and why would you? Because A, there's no big tournaments, and B, there were big tournaments, but there wasn't that regular weekly tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
And B, red-black was just going to be dominant.
Yeah, that was the season that I put up some of my best results, and it was at GP Brussels managing to make a day 2 on 7-1 with red-black, and then Nationals managing to make a day 2 having only taken 2 losses, one of them in limited, throughout the entire course of the first day, again while I was playing red-black. And it's like, why on earth would I bother trying to change to a different deck
Yes,
this works?
Why would you not play red-black, Simeon? Yeah, we'll move on from that.
Yes. That's definitely something we've both been guilty of over the past couple of years, though. And into basically this season, where Standard feels super healthy. A ton of the really toxic cards have rotated. The cards that a lot of people really started to hate, Scarab God, Chandra, they're gone, as is God Pharaoh's Gift, which, as I say, wasn't completely busted, but a lot of people, for whatever reason, decided they didn't like.
Bomat Courier
being gone was a big deal. Every other remaining energy card, which was probably a good thing to see them go. Energy was still very strong. What was the last one I was just thinking of that went? Approach of the Second Sun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, God, thank goodness we don't have that in Best of One Arena.
Oh,
what?
Oh. Yeah, you'd have to main deck Duresses. You'd just have to.
You really would.
Yeah. So, yeah, a bunch of this terrible stuff went. This, mostly, it has to be said, Kaladesh cards that were way too good.
I mean, by next September, I think I'll be glad to see the end of Teferi.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am sure there'll be other cards. Search for Escanta. I'd quite like that to be gone, thank
you. Yeah,
you.
when that's gone, that'll be good.
People may well be fed up with Treasure Map, considering it's in everything at the moment.
How about Vivian Reed?
Yeah, she could well, especially if Monocolour Planeswalker has lots of guilds to go in.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the number of colours that we might be happy to see leave next autumn probably quite large.
It always will be with Standard, isn't it? You always want you don't want to see the same cards fresh over and over again. So despite what I said a couple of weeks ago about Golgari being dominant, which it is still dominant in terms of point scoring. It's not as dominant as that mono red deck was, the red black deck was. And it does feel like you can play lots of different strategies, not just Golgari.
Yeah, I wouldn't say anyone was wrong for not playing green black.
No,
when it was red black season, the question is not what deck are you playing. The question is why are you not playing red black? Like, legitimately, what is your reason? And I'm fine if the reason is I don't own the cards and I can't be bothered to get them, or I don't want to get them, or I don't think it's my style of deck. That is perfectly fine, but understand you're going to be taking a hit in your percentage chances to win a tournament.
Yeah.
Whereas this season, it's do you have a playstyle you enjoy? Cool, play that. Are there cards that interest you? Play those. Do you want to win a slightly higher percentage chance? Play Golgari.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
That's where I'd come down on it. I'm never going to say to anyone, especially in this current format, don't play your pet deck as long as you've made sure that it's relatively well tuned. But if you want to play an obvious deck that's quite good, just play Golgari. But it's still a relatively healthy standard format, which I'm happy with.
Definitely. So that was how Magic went. And obviously we could tack the Rise of Arena onto that review as well.
Yes, absolutely. Arena has been improved so massively. When was the closed beta was like, I want to say April-ish?
Something
May,
like that.
And it was unplayable. It was awful.
I wouldn't have said unplayable because I played it a fair amount, but I certainly spent...
But you didn't get into the beta as early as I did. I played it like 2 or 3 times and went, this doesn't feel very good. And then when you got back in, I played it again and went, oh, this feels a lot better. Like, it's still not there, but it's better.
And then in the last 3 months, it's
been
come
so
on
good.
Immensely. Yeah. And I hope in the next 3 months it makes another major jump and we're just going to be wowed. But yeah, both you and I have stopped using mana traders.
Which I think we both disliked because we'd had such positive interactions with them.
I love mana traders, but I'm not... If I was playing Modern, I would still be on Mutko.
Yeah.
If I played lots of Modern, definitely. And I have bought my Modern deck on there, so I can go on there and play Modern. But I'm not going to use it for Standard.
No, exactly.
And especially not because almost every Standard deck you face is a tier deck. They may have the odd card they haven't got, but so do people at PPTQs.
Yeah, exactly.
Play the odd weird card, or the odd strange deck comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think next year when we do a review of the arena will be a big part of what we talk about.
With Mythic Championships, I would, if it wasn't, something's gone terribly wrong.
Yeah. So how about us? How have we done?
So I think we've had a really positive year. This was our first full year of podcasting, and we have put an episode out every week since we came back from our Christmas break last season.
Yep.
And obviously this will be our last episode before our Christmas break this year. But yeah, we've done what we set out to do. We put out regular releases. Now, sometimes they were slightly delayed by life events, but
we've never had an episode go out later than Friday.
Friday noon.
Yep, Friday lunchtime.
Is the latest I've ever released an episode, and that was mostly, down to either massive technical difficulties where my computer decided to die halfway through editing and I had to start from the beginning, or some personal deadline for work that has kept me from doing. Or it was like
we had to record a day later because of
one of us wasn't available. Yeah, exactly.
For other reasons. But yeah, even when you spent 6 weeks in Japan, we still managed to put out a podcast every week.
Well, that was the interesting challenge, wasn't it? We'd been doing this for about 3 months at that point, and I suddenly went, by the way, I'm going to be in Japan for 6 weeks.
And I was like,
and you sort of went, oh, okay, I'm guessing we're pausing the podcast. And I'm like, no, I can record. I've checked on the time zones, and all it means is that I've got to get up at 6:30 and be ready to record, and you've got to push back your recording time slightly later. And you went, you're going to get up at what time?
I did.
with I think a lot of incredulity, given that we've shared rooms at GPs, and you know how late I like to sleep in.
And it's a pity we weren't doing the recording for patrons where they get the pre-show at that point.
Oh, because the first 20 minutes is Zombie Jack.
And also, but the bit leading up to you going to Japan where it was like, you're doing what? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I can edit the podcast. It's like, that's fine, I'll do it. And isn't it amazing, really, that we can do something like this? You could go to the other side of the world, and we just continue it as if nothing's happened.
Yeah. Well, for you. For me, I was up at 6 a.m.
Well, yeah, okay. But I know. But actually, you got those episodes out earlier because you edited them the same day.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm awake now. I might as well do this editing while I write my thesis. So yeah, we managed to continue running a podcast even through that, and then obviously I came back and I did my first RPTQ, which was cool. It was in sealed, and despite having a pretty good understanding of the format, I felt, and a pretty reasonable deck, not an exciting one, but a reasonable one, I died a lot. So yeah, that was sad. And then I got invited onto a team at another RPTQ, and I was given a Teferi control deck, which I did not understand, and I died a lot again. I will say, though, I didn't get a chance to prepare for that one as much as I would have liked to, because that was my crunch time for my thesis.
Yes, yeah.
I had started streaming, and then I had stopped streaming as I went, I need to do how much more work? Oh, there's another 150 pages to write. Oh,
yeah,
that's okay, cool. Yeah, let's... we're going to stop streaming and we're going to go back to work. But yeah, 2 RPTQs this year. Not bad.
Which is 2 more than me.
Well, we won't ever have to compare again, because next year we have 1 that neither of us will get to.
You are always going to have 2 and I will always have none. Well, I have 1 more chance. 1 more chance, I think. Yeah. So, fingers crossed for Darksphere.
Yes.
It's a place I tend to do reasonably well, so fingers very crossed for Darksphere. Anyway, what else have we done? We started a Patreon.
Yeah, and the support for that has been absolutely incredible, actually.
It has.
I thought, maybe a couple of people had noticed, they'd chip in maybe a couple of pounds or dollars as it is, wherever, but we wouldn't be sitting here going, we have 7 people who are interested enough in our podcast to be like, no, you guys, please keep doing that. And that's incredible.
I'm just so grateful for it. So grateful.
Yes,
just
absolutely.
Amazing. allows us to do the giveaway, which I really like doing.
It has also, and I haven't really said this yet, but it will be giving us the chance to continue doing the YouTube versions of this podcast. And so while that wasn't originally stated on the Patreon, it was always sort of my intention to try and do, but with the Patreon money that we're taking in, we get to pay for hosting the podcast, the website, and also having the ability to edit YouTube episodes and upload those to YouTube. So that is all very much in collaboration with our patrons.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for your support on that one. It's absolutely incredible.
And every time we get a new patron, it's a big wow from both of us.
Yes. Yeah.
We
got another one. This is amazing. Like, yeah, messaging back and forth.
So you've also put the PPTQ maps together,
yes,
which was a good thing we innovated.
Yeah, I think so. I'm hoping that next season what we're going to be able to do is sort of help turn this podcast into a hub of competitive Magic players, specifically in the UK. So if you are in the UK, what I'm hoping for is that on our website you'll be able to go and you'll be able to see a map that says, okay, here are where all of the PPTQ...
whatever replaces PPTQs.
Whatever replaces them. Obviously, we still haven't got full understanding of what's happening. Is coming up. Here's where they'll all be. Oh, and here's where a bunch of other events are that maybe I could go to in between and that kind of thing. And yeah, just be able to become a hub for competitive Magic players to go and be like, okay, what am I doing with my weekend? Because the system is new, it's still being implemented, but we will hopefully have our finger on the pulse enough to know what's going on.
Yeah, especially because I'm not so sure that people are going to be grinding GPs as much. Because obviously the bronze reward for grinding lots of GPs isn't there. So hopefully there'll be, if not some Wizards directed events, there'll be some store directed events of winner boxes or better that we can get onto the site and have sort of advertised for people to go to. So that's hopefully where we're going to go to next year without knowing any more about what Wizards are planning.
This is it. We can't give you any more information because we don't have any more information because Wizards haven't had it.
And the stores can't give us any information because they don't know either.
They don't have any information, exactly. Yeah.
But if there are stores in February time, once after PPTQs and the pre-releases for the next set have gone, who are planning on winner boxes or win entry to a GP or whatever, sort of some big prize tournament, let us know the details. We will advertise it.
We will happily advertise. We want to see more Magic played, and that sort of thing is very important to us.
And we want to make sure people are keeping going to their local game stores.
Absolutely. Your brick and mortar stores are how paper Magic gets to keep going, and I want to see that being a thing.
Do we have to call it tabletop Magic now? Okay.
I'm going to call it what I'm going to call it.
Right.
I never played Magic when it was Modo. I still call it Modo, you know.
Yes, that's true. I switch between Modo and Mutgo, so
yeah. Me too. But yes, and apart from those maps, we obviously also do have the YouTube channel that I mentioned, so that's going to keep going and keep growing, especially because now that I've got back into streaming, all of my streamed arena runs are going up on the YouTube now. They're just going up as a pure archive. There's no fancy editing going on. There's no like, here's a deck tech and here's 5 games. Particularly at the moment, I might get into doing things like those, but that is later down the line. I want to keep doing the streaming thing.
It feels that's easier to do when you're not streaming it as well, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Like if you're streaming it and you're trying to do a deck tech and someone brings up an interesting point and you've got to interact with, because you're like, I don't want that to go away and I don't want to forget it because that is an interesting point. You're like, okay, I have to stop my flow of talking to YouTube and talk to Twitch chat now and that kind of thing. So it's
and you've made affiliate on...
Yes, I did. I made affiliate basically Sunday night. We got our last couple of
congratulations for
followers.
That.
Thank you very much.
I saw you started to get people subbing, which is great.
Yeah, no, that was incredible as well.
And your first bits?
Yes, yeah, first bits, and then a request for a direct challenge, and I'm like, yeah, all right, that works.
Seems good.
I am happy to be bribed.
Absolutely.
But other than that, I think the podcast has been going pretty well.
Yeah, I'm pleased with how it's going. Obviously, if you ever have any suggestions for improvements, any of our listeners, let us know. Always happy to hear how people think we can improve. We should also say thank you very, very much to all of the guests we've had on over the course of this year.
Yes, we've had some amazing guests on, and I'm just, those episodes always stand out to me because they give us such an interesting insight into, the way people think. And it's just, I've loved every episode where we've had interviewing someone. So hopefully we get to keep doing those, and obviously our predefined metric is no longer going to exist for having guests on, because our metric was always, if you win a PPTQ or do, top 32 at a GP stay, we're happy to have you on. We really want to talk to you.
Or maybe, now, IDing into 9th.
Well, yes,
sorry, David.
But but the system next year is obviously going to change, so
we'll see where we draw our metric.
Yes, but my rule has always been I don't just have my mates on, because as much as I'd love to sit here and chat just Magic with all of my Magic friends, that is a thing we all enjoy doing. I want to bring you people that you can't necessarily easily get hold of, Autumn Burchett, our national champion, David Carf, as you say, 9th at a Grand Prix, that is incredible. Chris Vincent and Rob Catton, both excellent competitors. For the Southeastern players, they're in the North. You're never going to have met them, and those lines of thinking might not have necessarily occurred to you because there's not as much information flow there, because the communities are too far separated. So that kind of thing is sort of what I want to continue bringing you next year. Obviously, we did have one minor hiccup in that, where Simeon disappeared for a week.
Sorry.
So instead, I had Alex Watson on, who
it was a great episode, by the way.
Thank you very much. Yes. So Alex joined us as a replacement host. I couldn't work out if it was an upgrade or a downgrade, so I decided to
it's the same grade.
Stick with the trusty model. Just sideways shift. But I would like to thank all of our guests. So we've had on Helena Brake, John Partridge, Alexander Gordon-Brown, David Carf, Autumn Burchett, Nick Eek, Chris Vincent, and Rob Catton this year. And I think that's an excellent selection of Magic players.
Yeah.
We've got Nick's a judge, we've got David, who Team Axion, Autumn, who's now on Team Axion, John Partridge, who I don't know how many RPTQs he's made it to now, but it's a lot. Helena Brake, who obviously helped design one of the most popular decks through Dominaria season, the Jeskai version of the Godfarrow's Gift deck, and just these are amazing players, and I'm very thankful that they deemed to come on our show and talk to us scrubs about how to do better at Magic.
Yeah, because the two people who haven't won an RPTQ who are on this show are the two people
who host it weekly.
The two people who host it. Yeah, so
yeah,
we'd have to keep ourselves off our own show.
Off the show, yeah. See, bar to entry is far lower for becoming a host. But yeah, I think it's been a good year.
I agree.
Both for the podcast and Magic.
And Magic in the end, yes. Bad start, good finish.
Yes, absolutely. And long may that continue.
Well, let's not go for another bad start.
Bad start, yeah, all right. So we've got some upcoming events. As we say, this is going to be our last episode before the Christmas break, and that means that we're coming back. We're recording on the 8th of January, and we will be obviously putting the episode out on the 10th of January, which means that there are some PPTQs between now and then. So even though the ones on the 5th of January aren't technically 2 weeks away, which is normally our window, we're going to tell you about them anyway, because obviously now's the time to be thinking about them. But first, on the 29th of December, you could be at Atomic Comic Games in Yeovil. Simeon, where could we be on the 5th of January?
On the 5th of January, you could be at Excelsior Comics in Bristol, Comics, Games and Coffee Limited in Chichester, Escape Games in Coventry, Travelling Man in Manchester, Final Frontier in Plymouth, the Geek Lab UK in Taunton, or Dark Sphere in London. And on the 6th of January, Jack?
The 6th of January, you could be at Ace Comics in Colchester, Stan's Games in Falmouth, Patriot Games in Leeds, The Missing Geek in Staines, Beanie Games in Stockton-on-Tees, Basbo Comics in Truro, Nerd Shack in Wigan, The Carrick Stone in Cumbernauld, and Black Cat Games in Kilkenny. So a lot of tournaments going on that weekend. I hope you all find one that you can make it out to. That is going to be the literal last weekend of PPTQs.
It really is.
There will be beyond that, I believe, one other person who ever gets to play an RPTQ, and that is the person that qualifies through the last chance qualifier before the RPTQ. Yeah.
So that means that the weekend of the 12th and 13th is pre-release?
I don't believe so. I think we've got a week of quads.
Oh, no, it's the 12th and 13th Store Championships, isn't it?
That's what it is. Yes.
So Store Championships at the end of the season, and then 19th and 20th of January will be pre-release.
Yeah.
I think. And release on the 26th, that sounds right.
That does sound pretty right to me. Yes, the Ravnica Allegiance. Release date on the 25th.
Yeah, okay,
yes.
So the 25th, yeah. So, Jack, if you were going to one of those PPTQs, what would you be playing?
Golgari. Is it best of 3? Because it's Golgari. if it's not best of 3, I don't know. Some linear aggro deck, I guess.
Some mono-white aggro thing?
Probably the mono-white go-wide Boros thing, yeah. That deck has been crushing me online.
Yes, ditto.
So yes, I would still be picking up Golgari. I think my preferred version at the moment is something along the lines of maybe only 3 Wild Growth Walkers in the main. Maybe we're back up to 10 Explore creatures. We're definitely playing Llanowar Elves. We might be playing Khan Scion of Urza, because that is just so good in the mirror match. It is just such an insane, especially when you get to cast it on turn 3.
Yeah, we're building a Golgari to beat the mirror.
Yeah, I think that's the plan. Right. Which means also you want at least 3 Vivians and at least 3 Carnage Tyrants and 3 Finds, because you want to cast your Carnage Tyrants as many times as possible.
That seems very reasonable. I may be asking you for some cards before the 5th of January.
I may be telling you that I don't have Golgari in paper, and that's why I haven't played it this season.
Oh, I'll be sad.
We'll see what we can do, Simeon.
We'll try and put a Golgari deck together between us.
Yes, yeah. And hopefully I'll be on commentary at Darksphere and won't want to play it myself.
Yeah, that's the plan.
That is the plan.
Yeah, because I would be playing Golgari as well for doing the same thing, to beat the mirror. That's where my stats now say we should be, and for once I will listen to my stats.
I was going to say, it's been a long while since either of us have actually listened to the statistics that we actually gather, and we've just sort of played whatever we thought we could play well, and I think it's time to just go back to playing the best deck. If you would like to see any of the lists from this past season, this past year, in fact, please do head over to standardintelligence.uk. We are both available to chat about Magic on Twitter. Simeon, you are?
I am at SimeonBMTG, and Jack?
I am at JackPatton42, if you'd like to talk to me about anything Magic, Standard in particular, but I'm open to random discussions. If you'd like to talk to us about anything longer form, please do email standardpattern@gmail.com. We, as I said in the body of the show, we do now have a YouTube. Just search Standard Intelligence on YouTube with the first hit. We don't have our own URL as yet. We need some more subscribers over on YouTube. So if you like the show and you've got a YouTube account, please do go over and hit that subscribe button. It helps out a ton. But what you'll be getting is the video versions of these podcasts, which occasionally have, cards and deck lists pop up so that you can see what on earth it is we're talking about when we have to explain a chromatic black deck or something of similar complexity.
Of that horrendousness.
Yeah. I've had quite interesting games against it.
Well,
yeah,
there is that. They were.
Yeah, they're interesting games. It's just like I sit there and I go, I could never pilot this. I would not know what I was doing. Also, as I say, on that YouTube channel, my streams archive is going up. So if you'd like to join the stream live, I am JackPatton_MTG on Twitch. Come over and join us. I think it's a pretty chill.
It's very good stream.
It's a nice stream. We have some jokes. I do some dumb things, and we all laugh about it. But
if you can't punt while you're on stream, what can you do?
What can you do? Exactly. And ripping exactly the card that I needed, despite the fact that I know there's only one of them in my deck.
Yeah.
You know, on the last turn I could draw it. It's like, oh, there's the detection tower. Perfect. That works. Kill your Carnage Tyrant.
There's a card I need to have for the main deck of Golgari.
Oh yes, that card is completely nuts. And you know what it's really good against as well? Drakes.
Against Drakes, yeah, when they dive down.
Really good against Drakes. Yeah. Okay, your dive down resolves. Cool. Activate this before my spell goes off. So yes, that's my stream if you want to come over. And again, we'd like to say a massive thank you to our patrons this year. If you want to find out how to join and support us, do head over to patreon.com/SIcast. They've been a massive driving force for the continuous improvement of this podcast and the continuous running of this podcast. So I'd like to thank them again from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, everybody.
It's so incredible that you guys are supporting us. We are so thankful. And we're also thankful to you, our listeners. Thank you very much for listening to us for this last year. It's been an incredible journey, and hopefully next year will be the same, if not better, and we can all have a good time. Thank you all very much for listening, and we'll see you next year.
Thanks for listening. Goodbye and happy Christmas.